Greetings, welcome back to another episode of 6 Degrees of Black Mental Health. We're switching it up on y'all today, so we're going to have my good friend Jesse Sneed. We were in the program together some years ago, and he's standing here as one of my colleagues. So I want you to briefly introduce yourself, let us know what you're doing, and, kind of go from there.
Man, first off, good to see you, brothers. Thank you for having me on, man, for this great adventure. As he stated, my name is Jesse Sneed. Phil and I, Parnell, we have some graduate courses at Howard University. I've now transitioned on a doctoral level at University of Southern California, where I'm studying organizational change and leadership. The degree is just to add validity to the work that I'm currently doing. I develop and implement curriculum to put in federal prisons, jails, schools, systems, and the housing authority throughout the United States. So that's my current work. And I also currently work here in the District of Columbia. So it's just, I always, make my studies worthwhile, to give back to the culture. I always believe, we need someone sitting at the table, because if you're not sitting at the table, you're on the menu.
Hey, talk about it.
That's a word.
That is a fact.
I just think, with my dissertation, I'm studying the school-to-prison pipeline, so I'm just trying to find a solution, so how can we decrease, the disproportionate numbers of African-American males, students in general, so we won't have to continue to deal with this epidemic. So the work is very important, and that's why I'm so grateful, to be around in the midst of these guys, man, because everyone is doing important work in society.
Absolutely. So today we want to talk a little bit about the imposter syndrome. I'm going to have Brother Brian go ahead.
All right. So I have my notes here on my phone. But basically, imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which people doubt their accomplishments, and it's basically they internalize the fear of being exposed as being a fraud. So I know Brother spoke about just being around other black men, and I know in this journey of being PhDs, black male PhDs specifically, that journey can be a lonely one. So I just want y'all to speak about, feeling as if, do you take ownership of your accomplishments as a black male PhD and the things that you're doing, or do you account it to just being an anomaly or the lack of? Somebody speak to that.
Jesse, you can go first.
I think through my experience, I think I owe it to those who have come before me, So I really see it as, using this platform to help society and help those who are coming after me to, help the younger generation so they don't have to face the same barriers and oppressions that I had to. So I just feel like, it's an obligation, to just be in the ranks and amongst the pioneers that have, paved the way for me to be in position to receive my doctorate as such, at a level where I can just add validity to what I'm doing now. So that's my perspective on it. But I know other people may, study their doctoral studies, may have a different perspective, a different, reason why they actually got into their program. But that's just my perspective on just being able to give back, and also just for my neighborhood and for the other underserved communities to see like it's possible. If Jesse if he's in a program and he came from unfortunate circumstances and the projects and poverty, that can motivate another child that's getting ready to walk in my footsteps.
Right. I definitely agree. But you mentioned like your journey. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey and the things that you had to deal with, being a black male PhD, but also things that are specific to the things that you want to change within your community?
Okay. I think for me, the journey, like Phil said, it can be a lonely road, I know from experience, just that,
Dwayne always want his credit, man.
Look at you, my credit.
He gonna get it.
Right.
I did see it, though, but through him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We gotta cite the source.
Hey.
But I just think, it's a journey. Even in my program of 64 in my cohort, it's only 2 or 3 African-American men. So I know when I first, arrived to USC, just the fact I didn't see, you know, men that looked like me. Yeah, so it was, you know, I didn't see me, so it was different at first, you know, but over time, you know, it's a sense of I'm here. I'm here. I want to be elite, and I'm going to be elite with my cohort. But it's different, you know, when you reach those certain pinnacles in life. It's kind of strange when you go certain places. You're the only black male. Yeah. From even when I went to Africa, you know, I was headed to Ghana. I was the only black man on the plane. Like imagine that. Like you're headed to the motherland. And a flight, like on the flight with over 250 passengers, and you're the only black man on the flight. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I was headed to go see W.E.B. Du Bois' compound, and a lot of historical things that I was reading, I wanted to go see for myself. So when I get on the plane, the guy that said, "Welcome to Africa," did not look like me. And I think that was a unique experience for. I'm on a plane, I'm headed to Africa, we land, and the person that I wasn't expecting to say, "Welcome to Africa," you know, so I just had to internalize that.
Oh, that's wild.
I think that's a powerful experience, too, and I think really in terms of how we relate that to the imposter syndrome, it's like a lot of times we as a people in the positions that we're in, we are welcomed into spaces where we're not welcomed. And so it can challenge you in that, you know, like, am I good enough? Should I be here? Why am I here? And what do I do in this space being here? You know, and it uncomfortable, right?
And what's my role? Like, am I selling out if I don't speak up on everything that I feel like is wrong? Or am I only here, to your point, when you hear all the conversations about affirmative action and quotas and kind of like how we need to have diversity and these mandates, you start to question yourself because you know that you did the work to get to where you're at, but when you get in that space and you don't see anybody else that looks like you, it makes you think that you're just a number and not somebody who's been put in that space for the skills that you bring and the intellect that you bring. So it definitely is a psychological piece or these underpinnings that make you kind of ruminate or have these repetitive thoughts about what's my role, how am I supposed to be, you know, operating in this space. Am I expendable if I do too much to try to advocate for people that look like me or for causes that affect people that look like me because it could be somebody else that gets brought in or I can be replaced. So it does have this piece of like thinking negatively in that way, but then also feeling like you got to work 10 times harder to hold on to your spot at the table, right? Because you don't want to be on the menu.
Talk that.
So you got to be like, oh, now I got to go extra hard. And everybody else is just chilling because they got that privilege.
That's a fact.
It reminds me of kind of what you're saying, DéLon. It reminds me of a quote I heard when someone was like, you know, if not you, then who? You know what I mean? So, like when Jesse said he arrived at USC and he was like, no, I want to be elite. I want to be that guy. You know, I want to be tight in everything I do and be an expert. You know, it was kind of like, I think everyone has that initial, in a sense, anxiety or just like, oh, am I adequate enough? And then all of a sudden something triggers you to like, you know what, nah, who else? You know what I mean? To be at the table. Who else to be able to present, you know, and address things that are overwhelming, you know, our community, overwhelming our race, you know, overwhelming our gender. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's kind of how I take it. And then, but also, I'm kind of a person that's kind of like with the imposter syndrome. I don't know if it's necessarily imposter syndrome, but for me, the higher I go up, the more I consider those beneath me and how they might perceive me as being a person who's reached a certain pinnacle or reached a certain level. You know, will they be able to relate? Will they start to look at me as less than black or less than a black man or because I'm educated or, you know, you don't even know now. You know what I'm saying? You're so far removed from what we do. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm
so glad you brought that up. All y'all touched on points of the direction I wanted to go next because I feel as if that shapes how you do your work. It shapes how you identify and present yourself. Because like you're saying, are they going to see me as still being black? And you know, in the African American community, or the black community, we have this thing where, oh, you're talking white, or you're educated. A lot of times when I go home, I'm referenced like, oh, you the white boy of the family. All because I advanced my education. But I still talk like you. I still look like you. I still do the same things you do. So in the workplace, sometimes I find myself over-identifying with I guess, stereotypical expression of black men. And that changes how I interact.
Right.
And that could be detrimental too.
Right.
We got to be, just as black men, I feel like we have to be overly careful of how we speak in the workplace, how we dress, how we just overall present ourselves.
Right.
So can y'all just share some experiences about, maybe you wore jeans or you wore some athletic wear in a workplace on a Friday, and what were some of the responses that you got?
Well, I think there's always a negotiation that you have to have wherever you go. You know what I mean? As much as I want to say I do what I want and God's leading me and God's with me, He's also giving me discernment, and wisdom, to know, if you want to, sometimes you got to get your foot in the door, and sometimes you might have to compromise, in a sense, to get to a seat at the table. You know what I mean? To really address the things that need to be addressed. You can't come in with this attitude as if, I'm about to lead a revolution and you all need to hear me. This is... I know everything. I know the pulse of whatever's going on. I'm the expert, and just coming there barbarically, almost in a sense. You can't be there with. So for me, I know there's a negotiation that has to be going on. I think you kind of touched on Du Bois. He talked about that.
Double consciousness,
consciousness theory. You know what I mean? So I think that's for a lot of us. I think that's very real for everyone. And
I think the to add too, because I agree. I think the other part is it's like some of us. Or most of us, when we get to this level, it ain't even a thing that we have that negotiation anymore because we know that we got a seat at the table and we want to keep it. And so it's like, I know that somebody who don't look like me can come in with the sweats and the jeans, but I don't want to take the chance because if it's only one of me or two of me in that space and I start to, be oppositional or defiant in that way and they remove me, then that means it's one less of us at the table. So some things we can get as educated as we want to get. We can contribute to whatever space that we're in as much as we can and make it better. But we still got to be in check because we gotta hold that you could be gone. So don't do too much. And then the work that you started or the work that you was in the middle of can now be lost because you decided that you was gonna come in, like you said, and be barbaric and forceful in that way. So it is this imposter of like. You just stuck in the middle in limbo, right?
Yeah.
And like even like I know when we was first starting, even like before we even started filming this, we had like this like kickback and we was talking. I was like, I wear grills, right? And I wear my nose is pierced, all of that. And it's like some stuff you like, I can go in my setting as a psychologist because we a little bit more hippie, a little bit more liberal. So they cool with some stuff. I'm not going into this hospital with my grills in. And I'm not gonna push it that far. So with some things that you can decide that you want to do and others you like, I'm not even doing that because that's too much and I can get put out. So it is like always feeling like you can't be your true and authentic self because of, regardless of your accolades and accomplishments, you still a black man at the end of the day.
Yeah, we talk a lot too about code switching and the ability to be able to move in and out of different environments. And so there was an episode of Blackish. I don't know if we can say that on here, but whatever.
We can say that?
Well, fine, I said it.
Yeah.
There was an episode about Blackish that talked about, I think it was when the son wanted to go to college and he was looking at HBCU.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about how even being at an HBCU, how that validates you in a different sense, right?
Yeah.
I went to San Diego State,
Really do.
and I felt like a black stain on a white dress. Like it was so very few of us, right? Then I came to Howard. Boo, I felt like a king. I'm like, I'm like, shit.
You can let your guard down, right? Your guard is down.
Right, and then your guards are down, and then you can have discussions because that was the impetus to the show is that I'm able to have conversations with people that look like me that can challenge me in ways that I haven't been challenged.
Help me
and
grow.
then how do I take that out into the real world? So now on internship, like I had some of that Wakanda and that vibranium on my heart.
Right.
And then I'm like, I'm fighting.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, ooh.
You gotta watch. How about you
watch
fight?
it. You can't do it.
I'm like, okay, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. Not every meeting. I can't always. I can't
You gotta
always
pick your
call them
battles,
out, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I was leading to about perfectionism. Like, do you feel like you have to be a perfectionist as a black man?
Yeah.
In these spaces?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Absolutely.
I feel like we don't have that luxury. I feel like we and it's not because of white people. I think it started in the black community too. Rightfully so, right? We're taught. We talked about this in a couple other episodes. We're taught you got to be twice as good because you got to show that you can sit in this space and you can do the job. And so you got to like always be on your toes. And you're afraid that if you don't know as much as the next person that next to you knows, that you out. And so you don't get the privilege of like being half as good. You don't get the privilege of getting the high-paying jobs with a 2.0 with other people that don't look like you can, right? You got to have the GPA. You got to have it all together. And nobody knows that on top of that, you also carrying the burden of your family and you taking care of them. And so, like, it's all this stress that contributes to this need to feel perfectionism. And I'm going to be quite honest, because we talk about mental health, I had to go to therapy for that because it was something that was really, like, taking me down. And people was like, you're a therapist. Why are you going to therapy? Nah, therapists need therapists too. But it was just this idea that I was so in my head and I knew what I knew, but I still felt like I didn't know enough because I'm a black man in this space, and I know what weight comes with that. And it's just this cycle that just kept going. And I was like, no, we got to go see somebody and get this out of my head because I'm here. I got my letters. I did the work. Right. I can still contribute to these spaces, but it don't take away the system that I'm in and the stuff that comes with that. So now I'm learning how to negotiate that and reconcile that. And I don't have the perfect answer yet, but it's a process. And I know that if I didn't get into therapy, I wouldn't be at least where I'm at now, because I probably would have spun out and burned out a long time ago.